Welcome to the Man of Recaps. This is Peaky Blinders, full series recap. Welcome to Birmingham in 1919. It's a nice place if you like industrial wastelands that are always on fire. But it is a cool background for what the show does best. Epic slow-mo walking shots. Tommy Shelby is the leader of the biggest gang here, the Peaky Blinders. So named because they sew razor blades in their hats, and they go for the eyes. It's a family business. Tommy's older brother Arthur is the angry one. His younger brother John is the dumb one. There's also his sister Ada and his aunt Polly Gray, who was running the business while the boys were off fighting in World War I. Tommy is the smart one, who's always got some master plan he's keeping to himself. But one day during a routine robbery, the Peaky Blinders accidentally steal some high-tech military-grade machine guns the British military was secretly shipping. Losing those guns is a big deal. It comes to the attention of Winston Churchill himself. And so he sends in a specialist to get them back. It's Chief Inspector Campbell. He's a real hard-ass who's willing to fight dirty, and he's been authorized to use excessive force. Suspect one are the Peaky Blinders themselves, but he's also concerned about communist agitators like Freddie Thorne, who's inciting the workers to strike. Incidentally, Freddie Thorne is dating Ada Shelby and gets her pregnant. At first, Tommy wants to kill him, but these two are old childhood friends and war buddies, so he gets permission to marry her. But Inspector Campbell is most concerned with Suspect 3, the Irish Republican Army. Without getting too deep into Irish history, Ireland's rebelling against England, and the IRA would love to get their hands on those guns. Speaking of Irish, there's a new girl in town. It's Grace, who gets a job bartending at the Peaky Blinders bar, the Garrison. Tommy instantly takes a liking to her, but Grace has a secret. She's working undercover for Inspector Campbell. Eventually, Tommy meets with Inspector Campbell and tells him he has the guns, but not where they're hidden. It's like, look, I'm about to make a big move in the illegal horse betting business. If you stay out of my way, afterwards I'll give you the guns. So first, Tommy gets his friend Johnny Dogs to arrange a parlay with the Lee brothers. They're a Romani gang in the area, and actually the Shelby brothers are half Romani themselves on their mother's side. But for now, Tommy picks a fight. They're going to war with the Lees, and as is tradition, they inscribe Tommy's name on a bullet. This one's for you. Meanwhile, Tommy's been fixing horse races, which comes to the attention of the big horse race boss, Billy Kimber. At first, he's gonna kill Tommy for fixing races without his permission, but Tommy's like, hey, look, I'm at war with the Lees, and they're at war with you right now too. We should join forces. Yes, this is part of Tommy's master plan. He picked a fight with the Lees on purpose to get in with Billy Kimber so he can later overthrow him. Arthur's like, hey bro, how about a heads up next time? So Tommy takes Grace to the Derby, and these two start their romance. And while the Lee boys are stealing from Billy Kimber's men, now the Peaky Blinders are here to steal right back. So Tommy's proved his worth to Billy Kimber, and as a reward wants a legal betting license. And so the deal goes through. The Peaky Blinders are now partially legal. It's the start of the Shelby Brothers Limited. Meanwhile, John wants to get married. He's fallen in love with Lizzie Stark, who is the town prostitute. In fact, she's Tommy's go-to prostitute, and it's like, hey, I hear you're marrying my brother, but how about one more go for old time's sake? She's like, oh, Tommy, sure, why not? But it was a test. She was supposed to say no. He's like, I'm not gonna let you marry my brother. Tommy has a different bride in mind for his brother, Esme of the Lee family. Yeah, they're gonna unite the clans. It's a good match. These two are constantly doing it. And now that they've made peace, the Shelby and Lee families are united. They're gonna team up and take down Billy Kimber. Meanwhile, Grace is still reporting back to Inspector Campbell, but one day Arthur lets slip where the guns are hidden. Danny Whizbang fought in the war with Tommy, but is suffering from some serious PTSD. In fact, all the boys are. The only way Tommy can ever sleep is with the help of opium. But one day Danny freaks out and kills an Italian, so the Italian gang demands justice. There's nothing for it. Tommy's gotta kill his friend. Except he didn't kill him. They managed to fake it. They did bury something, though. That's where they hid the stolen guns. Congrats, Grace. You did a great job. In fact, hey, do you want to marry me? But Grace is like, oh, no. You're like a father to me, so she puts him in the dad zone. In fact, she's fallen in love with Tommy, and these two get it on. Then finally, the day has come. Tommy's making his move on Billy Kimber. But he had marked it on the calendar back when Grace was still reporting to Campbell, so Campbell tipped off Billy Kimber, and Billy Kimber comes down in force before Tommy's ready. The Peaky Blinders are vastly outmanned, but they are not outgunned because Tommy kept one of the machine guns. They just used it to break Freddie Thorne out of prison, and now he's here to even the odds. But then Ada Shelby comes with their new baby like, hey, y'all men, stop fighting. And Billy Kimber agrees. The only one that needs to die is Tommy. He takes the shot. But the bullet is blocked by Danny Whizbang, and Tommy, boom, takes out Billy Kimber. The rest of the guys just go home. So Tommy wins, though it's bittersweet because he finds out Grace was the undercover cop. He still loves her, though, and she's like, Tommy, I'm sorry. Let's run away together and leave this world behind us. Tommy considers it. He flips a coin to make the decision for him. But it's not Tommy that shows up at the train station. It's the jealous wannabe lover, Inspector Campbell, here to kill her. A gunshot rings out, and season 1 ends on a cliffhanger. Season 2 picks up right there, and we find out it was Grace who fired the shot from her burst gun, hitting Campbell and fleeing off to to America. So now 2 years later, Tommy Shelby and the Peaky Blinders are now the top horse racing crime gang in Northern England. But you know the big fish is down in the south, it's London. The Shelby brothers go down there and start some trouble with the Italian crime boss Sabini. But Tommy may be punching above his weight because Sabini immediately tracks him down and is gonna kill him. But he's saved at the last minute when the cops show up, including one with a badass wolf's head cane. It is Inspector Campbell. Yes, he survived. Grace hit him in the leg, and he's meaner than ever. He blackmails Tommy into working for him, assassinating Irish revolutionaries so that if he's caught, it'll look like organized crime and not the English government. In the meantime, Tommy's plan of expanding into London involves befriending Alfie Solomons, leader of the Jewish gang, played by Tom Hardy. He is a hilarious character who talks nonstop in his weird rambling mumbly voice. But now working together, the Jews and the Peaky Blinders are trouncing the Italians, and around this time is when the show's catchphrase really gets going.
By order of the Peaky Blinders.
Arthur Shelby, by the way, had a plot last season where he got totally scammed by their dad. Arthur feels bad, but someone introduces him to cocaine, and now he feels great. Freddie Thawne died unceremoniously during the time jump from an illness, and Ada mostly doesn't want anything to do with the family, and John just keeps doing whatever John does. Aunt Polly this season tracks down her son, Michael, who was taken from her as a baby by Child Services. Michael's a real nice kid, and at first Polly wants to keep him far away from the business, but Michael wants to be part of it. Eventually they compromise, and he becomes the accountant just for the legal part of the business. Lizzie Stark is still the girl Tommy goes to for his sexual needs. She's like, Tommy, we're basically friends with benefits, you don't have to pay me, but he always does. And pretty soon he also hires her as his personal assistant. When he goes to buy a horse, Tommy finds a new romance in noblewoman May Carlton. They go for a drink where she's like, look, we are definitely not having sex, but then immediately do. But also, Grace is back in town visiting with her American husband. She and Tommy go for a drink where she's like, look, we are definitely not having sex, but then immediately do. Then the tide turns on the London gang war front when Sabini convinces Alfie Solomons to turn on the Peaky Blinders and rejoin him. So Tommy goes to Alfie to renegotiate, and they're just gonna kill him, but Tommy's like, hey, remember when I tied my shoe coming in? I planted a grenade that'll blow this whole place up. It's a hilarious, tense conversation as Alfie tries to decide if Tommy's bluffing or not, but in the end it's like, hey man, you're crazy, alright, you got a deal. Eventually, Tommy's given his final assassination mission, and to ensure his compliance, Inspector Campbell has his cousin Michael arrested. His mother Polly's not gonna let that stand. She goes to see Campbell herself, and he's a real dirty dog. She sleeps with him to get Michael released. And so it's time for the big climax on Derby Day. Tommy has to make his final move against Sabini and also assassinate some guy for the British government. Just then Grace shows up to add more to his plate. She's pregnant, and it's definitely Tommy's because her husband's sterile. She's like, Tommy, I still love you, and he's like, alright girl, I'll deal with this later. So Tommy kills this guy and blames it on the IRA, and since the King of England's here, they pull all the cops to come protect him, including the dirty cops that were protecting Sabini's men. So without their protection, the Peaky Blinders swoop in and take all his territory. The police do pick up Tommy though, but turns out these aren't real cops. These are Inspector Campbell's guys who he assigned to kill Tommy after his job was done. But just as Campbell thinks he won, Aunt Polly comes in for her revenge, shoots him. Don't f with the Peaky Blinders. Unfortunately for Tommy though, this looks like the end. But what's this? One of these guys betrays and shoots the other two. Congrats, Mr. Shelby, you get to live, cause Winston Churchill isn't done with you yet. Yeah, Campbell hated Tommy because of the Grace thing and wanted to kill him after the job was done. But his boss, Winston Churchill, saw Tommy was a war hero and is like, nah, I kinda like this guy. So as season 2 ends, Tommy Shelby has won on all fronts. Season 3 begins on Tommy and Grace's wedding day. Her American husband conveniently died. Tommy wants the night to go well, so it's the iconic scene where he's got to tell his rough and tumble friends and family, no fighting, no fighting, no f***ing fighting. It's a beautiful wedding, but business never stops because that very night he's working out a deal with the Russians. Some former Russian nobles are here in exile after the communist revolution. The British government wants to sell them tanks to take back their country and stop the spread of communism, but for diplomatic reasons they can't do it legally, so they go to their go-to criminal, Tommy Shelby. But this organization is not run by Tommy's friend Winston Churchill. It's run by a creepy pedo priest who represents a clandestine British intelligence organization called the Economic League, or Section D. Now the Peaky Blinders are the top dogs. The other gangs have to pay tribute to them, but they've gone too far with Mr. Changretta when John has a personal beef and blinds his son. And so at a fancy party, he tries to have Tommy assassinated, but oh, Grace is the one who gets hit, and no, Grace dies. So Tommy has depressed rebound sex with the Russian Duchess, Tatiana Petrovna. One night while they're doing it, she chokes him out until he almost passes out so he can hallucinate Grace. Thanks, I guess. Now checking in with the family, Arthur Shelby also got married to a nice girl named Linda who's a devout Christian and made him pretty boring. Aunt Polly starts dating a painter, Ada gets a job at the library, and John just keeps doing whatever John does. And so the Russian tank deal is moving forward. Long story short, it's a very convoluted situation where everyone's betraying everyone else. And in the end, it's cousin Michael who goes to kill Section D guy. Yes, Michael's a really smart guy, been helping to run more and more of the legal business, but he kinda likes that gangster life. He wants to get into the other parts too. Tommy finds out it was Alfie Solomons who betrayed his plan to Section D, but Alfie's like, hey man, I'm too funny of a minor character to kill, you gotta keep me around. And so again, Tommy has won, more or less. This Russian deal was more trouble than it was worth. Also, the remaining members of Section D want to cover this up, and so the cops are on their way here right now to arrest the whole family. Tommy's like, don't worry guys, I have a plan, I've already started working out a deal, but it's like, how about a little heads up next time? And so season 3 ends as the entire Shelby Shelby family, except for Tommy, is going to jail. So in season 4, Tommy Shelby's getting his family released because in the Russian's basement he found a letter from the King of England authorizing that arms deal. They can't let that get out, they've got to do what Tommy says. So 1 year later, Thomas Shelby, OBE, is a legitimately fancy English gentleman. What is this new look? I hate it. And his whole family hates him now for almost getting him killed. It's only his personal assistant, Lizzie Stark, who stuck by him, but he still treats her like a prostitute. Michael has stuck by Tommy too, helping him run the whole business. He's clearly Tommy's protege and successor. Arthur's grown out long hair, living the quiet country life with his wife Linda, who's really tamed his wild side. And John Shelby, also retired, just keeps doing whatever John does. But this piece is interrupted when they all receive a black hand from the New York Italian Mafia. Yes, it is Adrian Brody as Luca Changretta, the other son of Mr. Changretta they killed. He moved to New York and rise through the ranks. He's now a top boss over there, come back to Birmingham to revenge his father. So the family has to come back together to face this new threat, and the gang's back in Birmingham for more epic slow-mo walking shots. Michael goes to warn John, but John's like, hey, I can take care of myself. But just then, oh, more assassins, and John is shot. Oh! Michael gets hit too, luckily he's okay, but John Shelby is dead in the bleak midwinter. Now, by the way, there is a fourth Shelby brother. It's young Finn, who is like 10 years behind him, but he's almost an adult now, so it's time for him to join the business. The Peaky Blinders gear up for war, and Tommy hires one more soldier. It's Aberama Gold. He's actually kind of a nice guy though, and since her brush with death, Aunt Polly's feeling wild and free, these two get it on. But even with all the security, Luca Changretta makes it to see Tommy. He's on a whole different level. It's like, Tommy, I could kill you whenever I want. He wants to kill Tommy's whole family first though and save Tommy for last. Assassins come for Arthur, but he survives by going back into beast mode. Yes, being back in Birmingham, he's letting the wild side out now, and even his wife Linda's like, oh well, when in Rome, she kinda becomes a party girl too. Meanwhile, there's a new character this season, Jessie Eden, a women's labor activist, and she actually organizes a big women's strike. Tommy takes Jessie out for a drink where she's like, look, we are definitely not having sex, but then immediately do. Soon though, he's like, hey girl, you convinced me, I'm on the side of workers now, let me in on your whole communist revolution. But he's playing both sides because he also goes to the British government like, hey, I'm infiltrating the communist revolution for you. I'll bring you agitators in exchange for more money for me. One day, Aunt Polly has a secret meeting with Luca Changretta. I'll give up Tommy if you spare my son Michael. Luca goes to visit Michael just to prove he could kill him, but he doesn't. It's like, tell your Aunt Polly we got a deal. And when push comes to shove, Michael does not warn Tommy about Aunt Polly's betrayal. So Luca thinks he has Tommy trapped, but it was a double trap. Yes, of course, Aunt Polly wouldn't betray Tommy. They worked out this plan together. And it was kind of a test for Michael, who failed by not warning Tommy, so Tommy exiles him over to America. And so it's the big climax at a boxing match. But Arthur notices that some of Alfie Solomon's coaches don't seem to know anything about boxing. Yes, Luca got to him first and made him an offer he couldn't refuse to betray Tommy again. So these hitmen, oh, strangle Arthur. Tommy gets there to save him, but he's too late. Arthur is dead. Now Luca has Tommy cornered. It looks like he's gonna win. But Tommy once again had a secret master plan that he didn't tell us about until just this moment. He made a deal with other crime bosses in New York that wanted to take out Luca but couldn't do it on that turf, but can do it here in England. And turns out Arthur's alive. Yes, they faked his death as part of this plan, and finally Tommy actually gave him a heads up first. He tracks down Alfie Solomons again, who betrayed him again, and this time they shoot each other. Tommy leaves him for dead. And so once again, Tommy has won. With no higher he could possibly climb, Thomas Shelby retires. But he's been fighting so long, he doesn't know how to retire. He goes on an awful depression bender. He finally decides retirement's not for me. He's got an idea of how to climb even higher. Tommy decides to run for Parliament, and being that he owns Birmingham, he wins. But Tommy still hooks up with Lizzie Stark sometimes, and the one time he doesn't pay her, she gets pregnant. He's got a new baby daughter now, and to be respectable, he marries Lizzie Stark. Sorry, Jessie Eden. And so as season 4 comes to an end, Tommy Shelby, the bookie from Birmingham, has made it to Parliament. Season 5 begins with another time jump to October 29th, 1929. If you paid attention in history class, you know that's the day of the big stock market crash. Now Tommy, being a savvy guy, saw this coming and told Michael to pull all their funds out. But over in America, Michael thought he knew better. He did not sell, and so the Shelby family fortune has evaporated. The crash has put all their legal business in disarray, so it's time to pivot and refocus on the off-the-books illegal business. And so the Shelbys are back in Birmingham once again. Tommy calls a Shelby family meeting, but before he can even start, Michael interrupts him. Okay, go ahead. Now Michael's crunched the numbers. In fact, he's drawn up a new business plan for the Shelby Company Limited, where Tommy would basically retire and Michael would take over. Tommy's like, okay, Michael, let me see that. Nope, straight in the trash. Get the hell out of here. You're banished again. But Tommy's busy down in Parliament, where it turns out being a politician is pretty similar to being a gangster. Tommy's with the Labour Party. He's a champion of the people, and he's a very good speaker, which attracts the attention of one Oswald Mosley. He's like, hey man, you're really good at getting the support of the common people, how would you like to do a slight pivot from communism into fascism? Tommy's pivot to fascism attracts the attention of Winston Churchill, who we haven't seen since season 2. He's like, Tommy, you're not actually a fascist, right? And it's like, no, I'm going undercover to take him down. And it's like, righto, then carry on, chap. His contact these days is Colonel Ben Younger, who incidentally has struck up a relationship with his sister Ada, and she's pregnant, though she hasn't told him yet. Meanwhile, Linda is mad at Arthur for reasons I don't fully understand. So at Tommy's fancy ballet party, Linda comes to crash it. She's gonna shoot Arthur. But boom, oh, Aunt Polly shoots her first. Abermagold had just proposed to her, so these two were getting it on nearby. Linda survives, though she's pretty mad, and Arthur tries to apologize, says they go back to the way things were, but she doesn't want to hear it. She leaves him for good. Tommy's marriage with Lizzie Stark is not perfect either. He doesn't love her. He's still in love with Grace. In fact, Tommy's been chugging opium this season so he can hallucinate Grace, and he's been having suicidal thoughts so he can see her again. So Tommy pretends to befriend Oswald Mosley, who is just an awful person. He's basically an English Hitler. Long story short, Tommy gets some evidence against Mosley, but when he gives it to Younger, oh, a car bomb! Mosley had more influence than we realized. So at the big Mosley rally, he's not playing coy anymore. He's going full-on fascist, make Britain great again. A big part of Mosley's speech, by the way, is blame everything on the Jews. And speaking of Jews, it's Alfie Solomons. He survived. Tommy's decided to mostly forgive him. He is just too funny and likable to kill. So he helps organize a riot that serves as the signal for the assassination. But wait, what's this? Oh, Sniper killed! Yes, someone leaked Tommy's plan, but apparently didn't tell Mosley. He doesn't seem to know anything about it. And so as season 5 ends, Tommy Shelby did not win. He walks off into the fog where he hallucinates Grace like time to join me, and he puts a gun to his head. And he does pull the trigger, but the gun wasn't loaded. His family thought he might try something like that and took the bullets out. So Tommy Shelby's not done yet. He's gotta keep fighting. Now, it wasn't Mosley who found out about Tommy's plan, so who was it? Well, now we learn it's the good old Irish Republican Army. It wasn't about you, Tommy. We just want Mosley alive for our own reasons. But it's now very personal because one of the people they killed is Aunt Polly. No! Her son, Tommy's cousin Michael, who was already set up for a war with Tommy, now blames Tommy for his mother's death for some reason and hates him even more. And now it's a 4-year time jump. It's the last day of American alcohol prohibition. He's meeting cousin Michael here, who's grown out a stupid mustache. He's been in America working for the crime boss of Boston, his wife Gina's uncle Jack. Michael's playing nice for now, but secretly he still plans to kill Tommy. But Tommy also knows that. He calls the cops on Michael with the pack of opium and gets him in jail, so he's sidelined for the season. So now coming to England to meet with Tommy directly is the big boss, Uncle Jack Nelson. He's basically an American Tommy Shelby, rose from nothing to the crime boss of Boston, and has now gone legit as a big political player. And he's like, what I really want is for you to hook me up with English fascists. And Tommy's pretending to be fully on board, although of course he's planning to betray them. But all that's on hold for a bit when Tommy's daughter Ruby gets sick with tuberculosis. But Tommy doesn't trust modern medicine. He thinks it's probably a Romani curse. And there's no time to lift the curse. His daughter Ruby dies. But turns out there's another Shelby running around. Tommy's son he didn't know about from a one-night stand 20 years ago. He goes by Duke, and Tommy brings him into the family because he just got some bad news from his doctor. He's got an inoperable brain tumor and has about 1 year left to live. Now Arthur's supervising Finn and this other guy who are in charge of fixing football matches. But now Jack Nelson goes to this guy and gets him to betray the Shelbys. But Tommy finds out, so invites him to a party, but it's not a party, it's an execution. It's like, yo Finn, we know he's your friend, you gotta kill him to prove your loyalty. But Finn tries to shoot Duke instead, but oh, there's no bullets in the gun. It was a test, and Finn, you failed. So Duke shoots this guy in the head, even though 5 minutes ago he didn't want to kill people, and now he's an official Shelby while Finn is kicked out of the family. Meanwhile, the IRA come to assassinate Arthur, but they also knew about that, and in the end Arthur kills her, gets revenge for Aunt Polly. So now we're back in Canada, where Michael gets the okay to plant a bomb in Tommy's car. And so is this how Thomas Shelby meets his end? Nope, he's fine. It was the other car that blew up. Tommy saw this one coming and had Johnny Dogs switch it out. He says goodbye to cousin Michael. I'm not mad, I'm just disappointed. And so once again, Tommy Shelby comes out on top. He blows up his house just to be cool. He is still dying though, so he sets off to enjoy his final days in solitude and go out on his own terms. And it looks like this is it, the end of Tommy Shelby. But he has a quick hallucination with his daughter Ruby, who points out the newspaper with Oswald Mosley's wedding photo has his doctor in it. Tommy pays this guy a visit and learns that, yeah, he doesn't actually have a brain tumor. Mosley faked it all to, get Tommy out of the picture.
So Tommy Shelby has been ready to die so many times, but he just keeps on living. And that's where the series comes to an end. But the story will continue in the new movie, Peaky Blinders, The Immortal Man. If you liked this recap, hit that subscribe button for more of the best recaps of TV and movies.